Good morning, students. Let us begin now the fourth chapter, Nutrition in Living Organisms. Now, let us recall. The first question is, what is malnutrition? Now, you must have heard about this word earlier also. Now, malnutrition, it is the bad health which is due to not having enough food or right kind of food is called as the malnutrition. Now, you must have seen children around you who look very weak for their age. Now, what's the reason for that? The reason is that they, that bad health of their or the condition of them is due to not having enough food or the right kind of food. Now, which are the ways to prevent malnutrition? Now, the ways to prevent malnutrition is to have enough food and to have a balanced diet. Now, the balanced diet means what? To have all the 6 different constituents of food in whatever food which we eat. So, now this chapter we will study about the nutrition in living things, means in plants as well as in animals. Now, let us first see what is meant by nutrition. Now, we know that some life processes they go on continuously in living organisms. Now, examples of those life processes are digestion, circulation, respiration, excretion, assimilation, absorption, and so on. Now, the substances which are digested and assimilated for obtaining energy and for the growth and health of our body are called as foodstuffs. Now, every day we have meals, isn't it? We have breakfast, we have lunch, then evening snacks we have, and then the dinner also we have. And in between some foodstuffs also we have. Now, we get several type of nutrients from the foodstuffs. Now, these nutrients, they can be classified into 2 types, macronutrients and micronutrients. Now, macro means what? Big, and micro means what? Small. Now, the nutrients like carbohydrate, proteins and fats, they are required in large quantities. So, these nutrients, they are called as macronutrients, means they are big, they are required in large quantity. So, that's why they are called as the macronutrients. And the minerals and the vitamins, they are required in very small quantity, so they are called as the micronutrients. Now, let us see first what do you mean by the nutrition. Now, process of taking in and using food which takes place in living organism is called as nutrition. Now, what is the need of for nutrition? Now, the first use is to supply the energy required for doing work. Second one is growth and development of the body. Third one, to replace the damaged cells and repair tissues. And fourth one, to fight the diseases. I hope it's clear to everyone now. Okay, now next is here, what do you mean by the autotrophic nutrition? Now, this nutrition, they can be classified into 2 types, autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. Now, some organisms like plants, they can produce their own food and thus nourish themselves. So, this is called as the autotrophic nutrition. So, we find out autotrophic nutrition in plants. Now, the second type of nutrition is heterotrophic nutrition. Now, all the animals and some plants, they depend on other organisms for their food. So, this is called as the heterotrophic nutrition. Now, next we will see here this autotrophic plants. Like first we will see now, all of you know that the plants can prepare their own food. Now, how do the plants prepare their own food? Now, plants can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Now, see here why this photosynthesis takes place in plants, that let us see now. Now, plants also need food for their growth. they can produce their own food with the help of sunlight and chlorophyll. Plants make their food in their leaves using water and nutrients from the soil and carbon dioxide from the air. So this process is called as photosynthesis. So where does this photosynthesis takes place? Photosynthesis takes place in the chlorophyll of the plants, which is present in the leaves of the plant or the green part of the plant. And which chemicals are used for it? They use water and nutrients from the soil and carbon dioxide from the air for preparing food by photosynthesis. Now let us see this picture now. Here this is the plant is shown, and then you can see the roots transfer the water, minerals and salts from the soil to the leaves. Chlorophyll is present in the leaves, and the chlorophyll, it uses the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and also in the presence of sunlight it prepares food by the process of photosynthesis, and then this food is transferred to the various parts of the plant. Now let us see this process of photosynthesis by using this chemical reaction. Now we know that carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, it makes glucose or the food carbohydrate, and the oxygen is given out. So use the chemical reaction, how it is written down using the molecular formulae: 6CO2 plus 6H2O. H2O is the molecular formula of water, CO2 is the molecular formula of carbon dioxide, and then over the arrow the sunlight and chlorophyll is written down, means this process takes place in chlorophyll in the presence of sunlight, and then this carbon dioxide, carbohydrate is produced. So what is the molecular formula for carbohydrate or the glucose? C6H12O6 and 6O2. Oxygen is given out. O2 is the molecular formula of oxygen. Now these plants, they convert light energy into the chemical energy and store it in the form of food. So photosynthesis means what? In photosynthesis, what happens? Plants convert light energy into chemical energy and store it in the form of food. Now water, minerals and salts are absorbed by roots from the soil. Then the stem transport them to the leaves. Leaves have microscopic opening called stomata, through which they take in the CO2 or the carbon dioxide from the air. The chloroplast present in the leaves contain chlorophyll, which absorbs sunlight, helping to convert carbon dioxide and water into oxygen, and then the oxygen is given out in this process. Okay, now you must have understood why we should plant more plants also around us. This is the reason, because plants prepare food by photosynthesis and then they give out oxygen, which is required by us for the respiration. Now besides leaves photosynthesis, it also takes place in stems too, as they also contain chlorophyll. So now you can see here this one, the chloroplast of the leaf. Now this is the chloroplast of the leaf, which is present in the green part of the plant or in the leaves. Okay, now next question is, let us find out how does photosynthesis occur in dark red or purple colored leaves. Now in dark red or purple colored leaves also the photosynthesis, this one takes place. So let us see now next here the transport system in the plants. Now take a pumpkin stem having 2 to 3 leaves. Cut it under water with a sharp blade. Take some water in a conical flask and add 7 to 8 drops of ink to it. Put the pumpkin stem vertically in that flask. Observe the changes that take place in it and discuss it in the classroom. Now the transport system of the plant, here it consists of xylem and the phloem. Now xylem transports minerals and water from the root to all aerial parts of the plant, and phloem transports the food, that is the glucose, from the leaves to the other parts of the plant where it is either consumed or stored. So all of you understood this transport system? Okay, so it consists of what? Two parts, xylem and the phloem. Xylem transports minerals and water from the root to all aerial parts of the plant. Aerial parts of the plant means to the leaves, to the stem, then to the flowers and to the fruits. And phloem transports what? The food from the leaves, which is transferred to the various parts of the plant where it is consumed or it is used. So you can see here in the figure here, this blue arrows which you can see, so that shows you the transport of xylem, how it transports mineral and water from the root to the various parts of the plant. And then the red arrows or the pink arrows which you see here, that function is carried out by phloem. So phloem, it transports the food from the leaves to the different parts of the plant. It transfers it to the other branches. Then it transfers the food to the roots also. Is that clear to all of you now? Now next we will see, so this one. So you can see here, this one boxes are shown. Blue part shows you what? The xylem, and the red pink part shows you the phloem. So this blue arrows, it shows you the this one is xylem, which is transporting the minerals and the water from the roots to the various parts of the plant. And the pink arrows shows you the phloem, or the flow of the transport of the food from the leaves to the various parts of the plant. Now next we will see here what is chemosynthesis and which plants produce their food by chemosynthesis. Now we know photosynthesis, we have seen. Now photosynthesis means what? It is the process of preparation of food by the plants in the presence of sunlight. Now some plants, they can prepare their food in the absence of sunlight. So this production of organic compounds using chemicals rather than sunlight is called as chemosynthesis. So this chemosynthesis, chem, that comes from the word chemicals. So it produces the organic compounds using chemicals rather than sunlight, and it prepares food. So that process is called as the chemosynthesis. Now which plants produce their food by chemosynthesis? Bacteria can produce their food by chemosynthesis. Now which are the different substances excreted by the plants and why this excretion is there in the plants? Now the excess water, oxygen, carbon dioxide, resins, gums, organic substances, tannins, these are the waste products which are excreted by the plants. Now why this excretion is necessary? Excretion is necessary because these waste products, they may prove harmful to the plants. Now this gums, you must have seen some plants like acacia, that is babool, it secretes out gums. So that gum, though it is a excretory product, it is useful to us. We can it is eatable, it is edible also, it is used as a food also. Then some of the gums which is excreted from the neem plant, that is used for as a it is used as an adhesive, as a for making the gums, which is used for sticking the things. Then this one resins, it is secreted by that milky structure which is secreted by the plants, like the rubber plant. It is used for making the rubber. And other organic substances which are waste, they are also secreted by the plants. Now Next we will see here how the plants they produce carbohydrates by the process of photosynthesis. Now these carbohydrates they are made from carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Now the proteins are made from carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen also. Now how do the plants obtain nitrogen necessary for the synthesis of protein? Now we know the air consists of 79% of nitrogen. So these plants they obtain nitrogen from the air. Now air contains gaseous nitrogen. However, plants cannot utilize this gaseous nitrogen directly. It has to be fixed, means it has to be converted into the compounds. So fixation of nitrogen it occurs either by the biological or the atmospheric method. Means what is at fixation of nitrogen? Conversion of atmospheric nitrogen into its compounds which is being used by the plants is called as the fixation of nitrogen. Now let us see about the biological fixation of nitrogen. Now two different methods of organisms can bring about biological nitrogen fixation. Root nodules of leguminous plants contain the rhizobium microorganisms. Now these microorganisms absorb atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into nitrate or compound. Now the microorganisms like Azotobacter they are present in the soil. So they are also convert the atmospheric nitrogen into nitrates. Now what do you mean by the leguminous plants? Now leguminous plants, this one pod bearing plants like soybean, then groundnuts, then green peas and all. So whatever pod bearing, that saying that which you call it. So the roots of those plants they consist of nodules in them, and those nodules they consist of the rhizobium bacteria. So these rhizobium bacteria convert the atmospheric nitrogen into its compound, which is very useful for the growth of the plants. Then Azotobacter microorganisms they are directly present in the soil, so that also brings about the fixation of the nitrogen. Now this is so just now what we have here, like this one, roots of the leguminous plants here. So their roots they have this nodules like structure. So these nodules here they consist of the rhizobium bacteria in them, which brings about the fixation of nitrogen. So this is how the biological fixation of nitrogen takes place. Now the second method of fixation of nitrogen, that is converting of atmospheric nitrogen into compounds, that is done by the atmosphere also. Now how does that atmospheric fixation of nitrogen takes place? Let us see now. Now this lightning, when it takes place during the rainy season, this causes the atmospheric nitrogen and the oxygen to react with each other to form nitric oxide, which is again oxidized to form nitrogen dioxide. Now the nitrogen dioxide dissolves in rainwater and convert it into nitric acid, which gets added to the soil along with the rain water. So now this acid reacts with the different minerals in the soil and convert it into salts, which are nothing but the compounds of salts, compounds of nitrogen. So plants use these nitrogen salts for their growth. So I hope now this is clear to all of you, the biological fixation of nitrogen and the